Welcome back, friends and neighbors. It's a Thursday night, so Seth has to be here to tell you what's what and tell me what I'm forgetting, because that seems to be the way that it always goes. We're a little bit late because of the Locked On Chiefs show. You can check that over on the YouTube channel as well as all the podcast feeds. And you can go check the Substack, but not yet because we're just about to start the show. This is RGR Football. Welcome back. Oh, and we're doing music. I like that. Go.
It's too early to sing. Let's be clear. I've got to have at least a little. I got to have at least a little more bar drink in me before I start singing.
So I told the guys in the band we have a new cover song because my kids keep playing this song called Whiskey Glasses. It's about a heartbreak kind of situation, and I can't get it out of my head. Sure.
Your kids keep playing this. And what county do you reside in?
Yeah, exactly. Not where you are, my friend.
It's do you happen to know the number for your local social services agency?
I do. Thank you very much. Mind your business. Anyway, it's still stuck in my head. That's why as soon as you started making a beat there, I was like, oh, I can make that fit. Anyway, a lot of things need to fit, right? Folks need to fit into stands. Like, we'll talk about training camp tonight. We'll answer some of your questions. If anybody wants to super chat, we very much appreciate it. But please ask us a question, and we will make the rounds to get to all of those. We'll go over what you can find at the Chief in the North newsletter.
Yes.
Here, I'll even start with your favorite one because you can find it at this address.
Yes. I thought you were wheeling me right into it. Well, you can find it at bit.ly/Seth really hates money, which is courtesy of Josh Briscoe. And I'm excited. I'm actually working on something right now. I'm trying to go through enough film to be able to publish tomorrow. We'll see, because it'll be kind of tight. But I'm looking to publish on Tershawn Wharton tomorrow. Starting a new series. Called Young Guns or Building Blocks. I can't remember what I made my mind up on there, where I want to basically go over some young guys that have flashed, and like Tershawn Wharton, who is kind of a fan favorite, but also kind of fell under the radar as the season went along because, everyone likes the new thing. And then when he doesn't turn into like a superstar, everyone's like, oh, okay.
Right.
But like guys like him, L'Jarius Sneed, Willie Gay Jr., probably McCole Hardman, and maybe even like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who had actually – it's really funny what expectations can do. Because Clyde had a good rookie season, but like to hear people talk like, oh, do you think he can bounce back? It's like, well, from what specifically? Like he played well with a really crap run-blocking line. So, I mean, that's just – so, I mean, we'll see how it goes. But so that the main point of this, Mike Dana – is another guy that I want to look at, with the basic premise being you've got these young guns, these potential building blocks who have flashed like they could be a building block. But there's a massive difference between flashing that ability and really becoming a snap-by-snap consistent guy you can build around. So like Mike Dana at this point, he's a guy that I'm perfectly comfortable getting some snaps, right? Mm-hmm. Being a rotational piece, showed himself to be a capable run defender. A few other things that we'll talk about. But would you want him to be your starter right now? No. Same with Tershawn Wharton. L'Jarius Sneed might be an exception, but because if he plays like he did last year, he's a starting corner and a good one. But we're going to talk about, that difference between doing something in a small sample size. And so the two things I'm going to do is really focus on the way they flash, which really applies with like Tershawn Wharton, whose high-end snaps are like, holy crap.
Right.
And then what they need to improve on to be able to do it more consistently. So I'm really excited about that, which normally I don't just dive right into like, hey, let's give a detailed explanation of what I'm doing. But since you gave me the bit.ly/Seth really hates money, right, I had to. So people know what they're getting when they subscribe, which we had our year anniversary. I'm just so excited. So many people. I had a goal for a number of people that would re-up and come along with me for a ride for another year. And we just shot right past that goal, and it was awesome. You guys are just, man, it just means a lot to me. And so now it's like, I owe you content. And so that's why I'm probably going to stay up all night and and work on that part 1 of the series. I'm excited about it. And then there's one other thing I'm excited about tonight, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
So people who don't follow me on Twitter, and I know there's not always crossover with YouTube and Twitter and every other thing. So the incomparable Danny Welniak with KCTV, who is just an awesome person. I don't know if you've had the privilege of working with her at all. She's really, really cool. She like used to throw javelins and stuff. I mean, she's just cool. Plus she could kill me with a javelin, so I have to say nice things about her.
Don't tempt her, please.
She, as a thank you for some of the work I did with them last year, provided me with a big old bag of Super Bowl confetti from the good one now. I don't know if I could give away to Chiefs fans Super Bowl confetti from last year. People would be like, no, I don't want it. I could be like, Patrick Mahomes touched this. They'd be like, nah, I don't want that. So obviously from the Super Bowl win at Hard Rock Stadium, I've got a big old bag. I've been blessed enough to already have a little bit of it. And so I've been giving it away. And my wife today, Mrs. Minnesota Chiefs fan, found these adorable bottles to put them in. And so I've already picked 3 people that are subscribers to the Chief of the North newsletter, which, by the way, if you subscribe to the Chief of the North newsletter, we're going to be doing giveaways like that and more as the season goes along. In addition to providing content, of course. But I kind of just realized that I don't want RGR Rogue Nation. My apologies, Rogue Nation.
Oh.
I don't want Rogue Nation to feel left out. So tonight, one of you, I don't know which one, probably going to make Ryan pick because I'm terrible at that kind of thing.
How about me?
Who do you love the most? We're going to give away a little bottle of Super Bowl confetti. I have some like framed in a picture at my house. I've also got a little jar that I keep it in. It's just a cool keepsake to have. So I'm excited to give that away. I love giving stuff away. So it's going to be awesome.
Dude, that is awesome. And I'll just say this, when it all comes down to it, you could just give one to me too, because I don't have any. You
don't have any? Oh, we will alleviate that. Well, let me just tell you, I'm gonna check the chats. I want to see if anyone approves of me giving Ryan some Super Bowl confetti. I mean, guys, we probably shouldn't do that, right? I mean, if the people want it, I will do it. I am nothing if not a man of the people.
Nobody's going to be into that, but I do appreciate you shouting out Rogue Nation, and I'm glad that you guys are here to hear Seth say it because it's sticking so much so that we're building you something really cool with the help of some of the members, and I think you guys are going to dig it. We're a few weeks from announcing away, but I think that's the way that we're going to go. And that said, I wanted to ask you again, just because I like this reference. What was the name of that series you're going to do on the young dudes?
I believe it's Young Guns.
I have one question for you.
Oh boy.
Did you see the size of that chicken? I love that movie. I can't get away from it. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
No, I actually do.
Okay.
I just didn't expect you to go there, and then when you zoomed in on me, that was just really funny.
I'm gonna go make the kids watch that tonight.
There you go. And so, but yeah, I'm just really excited about that series. The Frank Clark film review is going to be held off. I imagine we're going to talk about some of that stuff tonight. As I sit here in my office as a criminal prosecutor, I imagine you might have questions. People, Minnesota, California, 2 different things, but we can talk about it a little bit. I'm going to hold off on the Clark thing, not because I necessarily believe there's going to be this huge thing happening, but just with any uncertainty. Those really big film reviews, like Tershawn Wharton, I'm going to probably review 4 or 5 games of his because he played about half the snaps. You can get a good sample size, but that probably takes like 3 or 4 hours, right? To do a really good sample size of Frank Clark is going to take me 15 hours. And I'm not willing to give up that much of my life unless I get a little more clarity on what's going to be happening there. So I'm excited for this series. One of my favorite things to do in the off season, when we finally get to like the dead zone, this is when people, there's no content, there's no time. For me, it's like, this is my time. Right. This is when there's finally time to go back through the previous season and answer some questions. It's like, hey, is Tershawn Wharton, is he a building block or is he kind of a complimentary guy, right? Because what we tend to remember from games are just flashes. And that's great, but we definitely want to really figure out what was happening on a snap-by-snap basis. And that's why you got to chart every snap, because otherwise you're just guessing based on, a third or a fourth or the fifth of the plays. And you don't want to do that. You want to see snap-by-snap. Side note, just got done with Chiefs, Patriots. Joe Thuney really gave Wharton the business. It was what you would expect with a perennial Pro Bowl guard who's technically, I mean, Thuney's technique, I mean, he does everything right. Him and Creed Humphrey next to each other is going to be cool.
Right.
Just sound. And it's about what you'd expect with that against a rookie. Wharton had a few nice snaps, but it was mostly against the center, not Thuney. He had a couple of pass pro snaps where just Wharton's trying to do a push-pull, and he cannot figure out why he can't seem to get his hands free. It's kind of fun to watch.
Well, that feeds us into our first super chat of the night, because that's exactly where I was going to go with Wharton. And that's from Drummer Dude. Thank you again, as always. Are there any position battles you're looking forward to in training camp? And one of the ones that this whole topic revolves around is, again, I don't expect anything to come down about the Frank Clark situation until after the season, quite frankly, because of, logistics and everything else.
Yeah.
But one thing that I would like to see personally is I want all the beef out there at some times. So I want to see Wharton at end as well.
Okay. You have happened to hit upon a subject of mine. Those of you who do follow me on Twitter, now obviously keep the window open that you are viewing us. But let's not get crazy. But check out, I just tweeted out one of the video clips. As I go through, I like to do that. And it's just said Tershawn Wharton, athlete, because he runs down a screen. The dude can move. Oh. He's a better athlete than Chris Jones.
Yeah.
And so if you're talking about defensive end, also based on some comments from I think it was his trainer during the season, he was listed at 290 when the season started. And he was playing, my understanding is more like 260. Now he's a beefy 260. He's a thick 260. I don't know what other phrases I can use that can make all of us moderately uncomfortable.
Yeah, let's stop there.
He is a juicy 260.
That's enough.
I've been hanging out with Briscoe too much. And so, but he is 260, give or take. And he's a guy I'm surprised we're not hearing anything about him maybe playing on the edge, because, and as I'm finding out and as I'll be writing about, while he has excellent functional strength, he is more than sufficient an athlete to play on the edge. And with a guy with his functional strength, I think that would be a really fascinating thing to do in terms of, like you said, having it a little beefier up front. And so that's definitely something I think they should look at. And I'm surprised we're not hearing more about it. I think with all the chatter about Chris Jones moving to edge, Wharton playing snaps there might be kind of flying a little under the radar, which makes sense because he's not an all-pro like Chris Jones.
Right. And quite frankly, the longer they can keep it on the radar, the better for the team. So,
absolutely.
Thank you, Drummer Dude. And Aaron said that as well. And I do want to let you guys know, the mod father is in the house. Aaron Morrow, our fearless mod. If you need something that I can't pay attention to,
he fears nothing.
He's the guy that you want to go get. Stevie Keys, Gooch will be here. They are working on something cool for you. I'm going to just keep teasing it because I like to tease people. You'll see it eventually. Members, we have more videos for you. They're working on their things as well. The Rogue Head Huddle and the Rogue Life shows. You can get those there. A lot of members in here tonight. And Ben Brotbeck, you are not a member, but you are one of our staunchest supporters, and I appreciate all that you do for us. Thank you.
You are quite staunch, sir.
See, that was another word you could have used instead of juicy. Come on, man.
Yeah, I could have, but should I have?
Nice.
And yes, I should have.
Well, Matt's got a good question here. We'll just address this quickly before we get on to the other topics that I know you want to hit. Yep. He's just scratching his head about the Steelers let DeCastro go. I didn't read anything specific. It was just before we got on that I even saw that it happened. So do you have a take, and what do you think of DeCastro in general?
First and foremost, did you realize that David DeCastro has been in the league for 9 years?
Not at all.
I mean, I feel like it was not long ago that we were talking about maybe the Chiefs should take him. That was the 2012 draft, right? Well, yeah, 9 years.
Yes, it was the one after Justin.
Yeah, well, because it was the whole can we take a guard number 1 overall? Because the rest of these, and you know what? It all worked out. Fisher had himself a good career, helped him win a Super Bowl, helped him return to respectability. Good on him.
It's Fisher, not Houston. Sorry.
Let me see. Yeah,
I'm losing my mind.
No, wait, it would have been the 2013 draft. So DeCastro was taken 1 year before Eric Fisher. And so DeCastro, remember the conversation about best guard prospect in years, which we seem to hear every year. And so maybe we should chill a little, like unless it's like Quentin Nelson.
I was going to say, there's only one Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, that was entirely justified. The play where he saw a blitzer coming from the opposite end of the line and came back from all the way on the left side is one of the best blocks I've ever seen. Which, by the way, Creed Humphrey had some blocks like that in college, by the way. If you're talking – now, he doesn't maul people like Q. No one does. But in terms of awareness, he's right up there. What were we talking about? Oh, okay, David DeCastro. David DeCastro. So I realized when I saw that he'd been released, I was like, holy crap, that's crazy. And someone commented that, maybe the last couple of years, or at least last year, maybe he made the Pro Bowl a little more by reputation. I thought, what do you mean reputation? I mean, he's a young guy. Right? Because I can remember, talking about DeCastro and talking about what, maybe he could fall to the Chiefs. Maybe the Chiefs should take him, all this stuff. And, 9 years.
Man, yeah.
The clock is ever ticking towards our imminent doom. Eat Arby's. So
hasten your demise. Nice.
Here's what I would say about DeCastro. They already have a bunch of question marks at right guard. I know Matt Miller tweeted out that the rumor is that he might retire. He's not what he was a few years ago. My thing, might as well kick the tires. But the Chiefs' right guard situation is already pretty muddled. So that would surprise me if they went down that road.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't see that as well. But Ben, thank you again for the super chat. Always very generous. And you did have a question down here with all the bodies in the wide receiver room. Does Callaway take one of the take one of the spots away from the 3-year guys? I think he could be a returner. I think that might get him on the roster. And then I think it's about the learning curve with the Andy Reid offense myself.
Yeah, that makes it almost impossible. That's one of the reasons why Cornell Powell, we've kind of tried to be like, well, maybe we should pump the brakes just a little bit. This idea that year one, it's just hard to contribute in Andy Reid's offense. There are so many options for every route. I mean, it's just everything, because there's so many coverages that are pattern match or that are disguised, that a lot of players, I mean, there's one reason Kelce's so much better than everyone else is because he is always on the same page with Mahomes and he reads coverages better. Reading coverages is becoming an incredibly underrated skill for receivers. Gone are the days, like, we think of it more in terms of Madden and, in terms of, you got your routes and that's what they're going to run regardless of what the coverage does. That's just not how it works anymore, especially in Andy Reid's offense. So that would surprise me. You could maybe see him making it as a returner, though. I mean, Callaway's got some talent.
I'm intrigued. It's about keeping your head on straight with him, as far as I know. I don't know that I've never talked to him, never seen him interviewed by anybody that I thought pushed him a little bit. So we'll see. That's all we can say is, the camp's going to be interesting. Right. We'll get into the details of that in a minute, you guys. I know some of you are pretty frustrated with it, and I can understand. But a couple of quick notes. Will Clyde get more third down work this year? I think so, but you got to remember, I think Jerick McKinnon is here to be on this roster. He will be one of the 3. All the guys can catch, so I don't think it's going to be like a force feed Clyde thing. Let's see. I want to make sure we get the super chatters. Chad Johnson, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I'll come back and see if you have a question or something too.
Has he considered changing it to Ocho Cinco?
I think he just came back from that.
Yeah, I'm sure you've never heard that joke before, Chad, and I apologize on behalf of me and dads everywhere for making bad jokes. Membership is juicy.
You're so good at I done warned you. Come on. Oh, it's all started now.
Membership is juicy, and that is an adorable take. That's right. I'm going to start memeing myself to death.
Well, you won't have to. These guys will get it.
Yeah, they're getting there. I'm going to turn myself into a walking meme because I'm still not used to this live interaction thing because it reminds me of the things that I say. Normally it's like on a podcast, so it's like 24 hours later, like, oh, crap, I shouldn't have said that. Now it's just like live reaction. Juicy. Yay.
I'm so making you a shirt with that on it. It's going to be great.
Yes.
Gooch agrees too. Thank you guys for the super chats as well. Steven, welcome to the memberships. I think you're going to enjoy that. Yeah. We have, like I said, you guys, you're going to get the bonus series that Gooch and Stevie are producing now for this month for every member, no matter what level. Then it'll go back to the videos come in at the rookie level. So get up there and do that kind of thing. It just keeps getting worse because now, Gooch logged onto it and yeah. And now he wants a steak. Hey, I can understand that actually. So the juicy, it's just going to get worse. Okay. Juicy. We're going to ride this train. That's what we're going to do. Thank you guys for the super chats. Very much appreciated. They were just making comments. If you super chat and you have a question, I will make sure to find it. Juicy's a question mark because it's always pretty humid out of camp. And I think that a lot of people are frustrated with the announcement that you have to have a ticket to go to camp this year.
Yeah.
I know it's e-tickets and all that. I'm not talking about the paper. I think what it is, you guys, and I wanted to say this and get Seth's take, is I think they're just trying to keep the total number of people that are out there and exposed to each other down. They're still in COVID, like not lockdown, but they're in COVID all the time as a main concern. Mm-hmm. I think they're trying to keep people away from the players and away from each other just to not be, a source of infection myself.
It's worth noting that not every team has gotten these same permissions.
Yep.
And so that might be part of what they said. And does it make a meaningful difference? Probably not. But I think one of the things that we've come to understand over the last year is sometimes doing things to it just at least keep things a little more measured. Sometimes that's worth doing. As well, do I like it? No, of course not. I am not sure at this point if I'll make it to training camp. I'd like to because I generally can't in honor of F9 coming out, I tend to live my life a quarter mile at a time. Oh. One of many things Vin Diesel and I have in common. And
okay.
We're both short. We don't have a ton of hair. There's a lot going on here. We both, I was going to make a joke about we're both built differently than we were when the first movie came out. But, now I did. So,
Family show.
So I understand why people are frustrated with that. I just think, I think they're doing the best they can in a weird world with a lot of uncertainty. And they're just trying to do anything they can to make sure nothing weird happens. I'm still excited for training camp, though. I missed it desperately last year. It's so much fun. And even without autographs being signed, it's a really cool opportunity to see a few things. And every year at camp, most days, you get one or two plays in red zone action that is a preview of something really cool to come. Now, I don't remember ever seeing the underhanded pitch during training camp, but you see some pretty cool things that it's just worth seeing, and it's a lot of fun.
I tell you, they did do the wheel to Sherm the year that I was there as well. I mean, I'm there every year except for last. But I did see that in practice before they ran it against San Diego. So that was entertaining. I agree. I don't think they're going to give a ton away, but I know you guys are interested in that. I'm going to try to make it as well. It's a little bit more difficult because of my schedule. Usually it's the week before the week that I'm going to be able to go this week or this year because of the 3-game preseason.
All right.
I always find the most value in going the week after the first preseason game because you see who's jumping the depth chart, who's getting snaps, who's making progress. And I like to see that juxtaposition. So I'm going to try to do that again. If we can work something out, we'll do an RGR hangout and you can hang out with everybody and Seth can make it down cool, the whole crew, whatever we can do. If I don't make it because of outside sources, I will rely on you guys to feed us info from what's there.
And you'll be dead to us.
And you'll get juicy merch in return.
RGR football, where everything's juicy. I mean, these taglines are handing themselves to you, Ryan. You're welcome.
Like the inside of the smoker.
I take things one step too. I do always take things one step too far. Thank you for the super chat, Long Mom 16. There's a lot going on there. I do take everything one step too far. You should, and I mean this sincerely, you should hear me preach. It's an adventure. My wife's got to be in the back row. Like, she'll see me, and, like, if I get a few laughs, I start saying stuff, and my wife's in the back row like, No, whatever
Back
you're
on
about
target.
to say.
I can see her in the back with a sign. Wave off.
No. What is it? That's a negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. It's good times.
Oh, speaking of, there has been a Jet McKinnon takes. I think McKinnon is the third quarterback, and he does not need to buzz the tower. Running back. And I think they narrow it down. I think Darwin is in trouble. I think Darwin's going to be headed to the practice squad along with Elijah, maybe Derek Gore as well. I think they probably take Burton and 3 tailbacks onto the 53 in order to have enough space for what they have to do on the offensive line, the defensive line, and who knows what they're going to do with the secondary.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I think McKinnon would have to be hurt or really disappoint to not be probably the second guy up. But he's had some he's had some issues with that in the past, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Your guy Daryl's not going to go down without a fight, but it is just a very different skill set.
Yeah. And hey, it is what it is. I can live with it because I think the skill set is the determining factor. I don't think McKinnon can do what Daryl does, so I still think he'll get some touches. But I am pulling for him to remain the backup. Evidently at OTAs, that's what it's been to this point. So Camp will change everything, you guys, but that's where it's at. Maui, bro, nice to see you. And yes, juicy IPAs work. Got to have a little bitterness in there, though. You got to get something in the kettle early, just a little bit, okay? These like milkshake IPAs drive me insane. Gooch, I don't know if I can do that. I just don't know. I think we might get a shirt that's like RJMN though. In fact, I'm writing that down. Hold on.
You know, Ryan, you have to understand that one thing that has served me very well in terms of a life motto is the phrase, why not? You know, Ryan Juicy Tracy, real juicy MN Chiefs fan. Why not? I mean, you know, and now are there reasons for why not? Certainly. But it was more of a rhetorical question than anything else.
Oh, so you're going to answer yourself too. That's great. Why am I laughing, Aaron? I'm not sure. Maybe because I can't cry.
Yeah, poor Aaron. I'm sorry, Aaron. If my lack of a filter makes Aaron's jobs more difficult, I do apology. And there's a deep fly ball to left field. Okay, sorry.
Something shiny. Oh,
yeah,
good
something
Lord.
shiny. But I was curious if you wanted to talk about Frank Clark.
I'm fine to.
So I've had a lot of people ask me questions. I am a prosecutor. I prosecuted all kinds of cases. And we do in Minnesota have certain statutes that are essentially illegal possession of a firearm. For us, it's more a matter of where you have it. You know, you're supposed to have a permit to carry. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're not supposed to keep a firearm loaded, you know, in your possession if you're in a public place or if you're traveling in a motor vehicle. There's just rules, right? You're supposed to have it unloaded or cased. There's no need to get into too much. I assume California is the same way. It's a felony charge, so it could be the type of gun, where he had it, lack of a permit, that sort of stuff. There's a lot we don't know. Like, I know that there's been a lot made about, well, it was an Uzi. Well, that can mean a few things. And I'm just not willing to jump to conclusions. I think if the still much unknown Tyreek Hill saga in that child protection case taught us anything, it's that, well, and for me, it re-taught me that every legal case is different with different circumstances. And unless you are involved in the case and you're the one getting discovery, you're the one looking at the police reports, you're the one talking to the witnesses, you're the one talking to the defendant, all those things, there's a lot you don't know.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that people should note. Another thing is that the court system right now is really backed up. At least here in Minnesota, we are. They didn't let us have jury trials for here in Minnesota 9 months.
Oh, really? Okay.
They started doing some electronically later on because they realized, like, hey, people have a right to a speedy trial, especially if they're in custody. Like, there's this pesky thing called the Constitution that kept getting in the way. It's a weird deal. And they're not like guidelines; they're actual rules. But while they didn't have, they weren't putting misdemeanor stuff on the block, and that it just fills up the calendar.
Yeah.
And pretty much every part of the country, you probably could use a few more judges, a few more prosecutors, a few more defense attorneys, because the system's just overwhelmed. And adding that to it, where for months and months, like, cases weren't put on the calendar and just backlogged, so that what that creates is this huge thing, and then you end up with a bottleneck at the end of it, and that just holds everything up. So I imagine it's the same thing in California, which what that means is he might not even have, and we don't know, maybe their system, maybe they managed to handle things a lot better, maybe they got more prosecutors to spare, but it wouldn't stun me if he didn't even have a first appearance for a few months.
Well, the arrest from March, which I think is the problematic thing, is that there's two of these here. The March, I think the date is October. So, I mean, you can see the way that the gap is there.
Yes.
I've been trying to remind people, too, that some of this is procedural. At least I know from my friends in law enforcement, and I have a lot of them. Sometimes they have to do things that are procedural purely because of the situation. And I try to remind people, Frank has pled guilty in the past to a felony. He is a felon. And California has a law in the books that felons cannot possess firearms no matter what, period, end of story. Mm-hmm. So if you find someone with that status, with a weapon in the car, it is pretty procedural simply to make the arrest and then investigate afterwards, is my understanding.
Right. And on what's worth noting is that while Clark, based on my best review of that case, mm-hmm. while he pled, he was not convicted of a felony. And I know that sounds insane. There's certain things that in Minnesota, it can be referred to as a deferred imposition of sentence, or you've got a different disposition called a stay of adjudication, various things that mean you can plead without being convicted.
Okay.
And so that could be what happened in his case. However, one thing that you're talking about, that where you just don't know, and sometimes you do things procedurally, it could be that law enforcement pulls him over, they see the firearm, they check his record, and they see that he's been charged with a felony, and they just kind of just go. That could happen. Now, it's tough to say because generally speaking, states don't often have other states' criminal histories just right on hand. It's tough to see that stuff, and for a variety of reasons. And so a lot of it is you just see things that, some things in certain municipalities or in certain states, they're just an automatic arrest, an automatic booking, and then it gets set out to see whether a charge is made. Okay. So there's a lot that just we don't know. The fact that he's been charged twice, it's just, I assume there's going to be some claim, and I think we've already seen some of that, like it wasn't actually his. Right. Well, let me just tell you, I have charged and dealt with a lot of possession cases of firearms and other things, usually in rural Minnesota, methamphetamine. And it's always, this wasn't mine, it's like, you're sitting here like this. Well, I've never seen this pen before in my life. How did this get here? And sometimes it's kind of ridiculous. In his case, because he was in a vehicle, it depends on where the bag was in the vehicle, how easy it was to see, how close it was to him, whether there was anyone else in the car. It depends on why they stopped him initially. There's just a lot that goes on there.
Okay, fair enough. I think, again, time will give us more information as it all goes along. We'll see what happens from it. So, folks, we won't have answers for you. But in the meantime, I don't think you're going to see Frank Clark get suspended without some kind of procedural ruling from some actual process.
Right.
I think the NFL will take the road that unless he's charged and actually tried, I don't think they're going to do anything. We'll find
right. Well, and it's worth noting, this isn't a victim crime.
Right.
Where the NFL has really come down on people are two things. The first being controlled substance related offenses. And that's more like when someone has tested positive with their process. Sometimes if they're charged with criminal stuff, but usually until someone's convicted of that criminal stuff, they kind of chill. If someone's alleged ever since the Ray Rice debacle, if there's allegations of something that involves a victim, the NFL is pretty quick to act there.
Yep.
And it's not like he's alleged that he used a gun to, hold up a liquor store, right, or something ridiculous like that. He's alleged to have someone on him, from what I can tell, that he wasn't supposed to have on him. That's going to be treated as a different thing because it's a non-victim crime.
Right.
My office treats those differently too. If I've got a crime with a victim and a crime without a victim, this is automatically going to take more importance because there's a victim.
Yeah.
And I think that's intuitive.
I think so as well. I think sometimes that gets lost as well. But Scott, good question. Seth, correct me if I'm wrong. Like in Madden, you can go like 98, 99, 100, juicy.
Yes, that is I think as of this point, the only players to get there so far are Jamal Charles, Patrick Mahomes, and oddly enough, Dontari Poe. So
I like that. Like,
man, I loved Poe.
Pulled pork will do it to you. I can keep going. It's not going to be pretty, but I can keep going. Josh, thank you for the super chat. I'd love to hear Mitch hold the seal out. Taste the juicy nectar of the end zone. I'll find that somewhere. I know it's out there. I don't know exactly where. Marshall, welcome back. It's been a while. Glad you're here. If Thornhill returns to play before the injury, will you see more single high safety looks again this season? Or has the rest of the division added too much speed? And he likes Matthew in the box. That's great. And thank you for the super chat, Marshall. What do you think, Seth?
I think if he's the implication there is, he's back to himself 100% physically. I would assume you see more single high stuff, just because he's good at it, really good at it. And where that is important isn't so much the snaps where he's, running plays down or gathering an interception or whatever. It's the plays that he takes away. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing, that's one reason it's so hard to review free safeties is really teams have to change the way they play them. So the best example, at least recent history, the Legion of Boom, Earl Thomas's role in that secondary, they were able to play super aggressive cover 3 because they didn't care if they got beat over the top because quarterbacks weren't even looking to go because they knew Thomas's range and instincts were too much. Thornhill was really shutting down a lot of deep passes. Mm-hmm. That first year, 2019, if you look, teams really stopped testing the Chiefs deep. They didn't give up very many big plays. You saw a bit of a change in 2020, not just in his physical ability, but in what teams were willing to try because they knew he couldn't get there, or because Thornhill's role changed a little because he wasn't really able to do it as well due to what appeared to be physical limitations. They'd have like Sorensen back there or something, or even Matthew, who's a great safety, but he does not have Thornhill's range on the back end.
Right.
He just doesn't have that same top end speed. Thornhill, when fully healthy, we've talked about this before at training camp. I watched him run stride for stride with Tyreek Hill for a bit, and I was just like, "Holy crap, who is that?" And I realized it was Thornhill, and that's when I realized my pre-draft evaluation of him was just stupid. So it was a fun moment.
You're doing fine. He was my safety one, though. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Okay.
But I will say this too, though. I am slightly concerned. Like I have some theories, nothing that I'm able to confirm, so I'm not going to share them. But Juan set out a number of practices this OTA period, folks, and it's one of two things. And I'm glad that when he was out and others were taking reps at either deep or that split safety that they switch up on, he generally spent time standing next to Steve Spagnuolo and going over the calls, what he should be seeing, what he should be doing to adjust. Mm-hmm. And if Juan can take advantage of that, maybe they're just being precautious. Precautious, is that even a word? Maybe they're just being cautious and taking reps off of him now when he really needs the mental work. Because I felt like he kind of struggled to come back. I think he was getting back to it at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the drag of coming back into a team that played all the way to the Super Bowl and have expectations to do the same. Maybe you're just trying to take snaps off of him. But if you can still get those mental reps with Spags, knowing that he's the architect of what he can do and the two of them can work together, that frees up Tyron and it frees up Sorensen and lets you do a lot of things. So I know a lot of people are concerned about him not practicing as much. I'm not too concerned yet.
Yeah, it's obviously worth that's a great comment. I'm sorry, that super chat's hilarious. It's obviously a little concerning. I just don't judge too much in OTAs. I really hope for Thornhill he doesn't have a snakebit career in terms of injury because he is a genuinely gifted athlete. Yeah. That goes understated with him, just how phenomenal an athlete he is. Not by you, of course, but by those of us that don't do as good a job breaking down athletic measurables.
Yeah, it's only part of it. That's how you get started. Ben, thank you for your super chat. Another one. We appreciate the support, my friend. I'm sure you have a comment in here. I will go find it. Todd Templar, thank you again as always. Seth, assuming CA does anything better. I'm guessing not a big fan from Cali.
Yeah, we'll see. They might. I'm trying to give some benefit of the doubt to a legal system that's usually trying its best, at least in my experience
Good for
here.
that. Yeah, people.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, depends on where you go. My limited experience is Minnesota. We're always trying our best here, guys. We really are.
Don't you know? Gooch says join the Juicy memberships. I'm not sure what tier that is, you guys. So I guess go dig around and see what you think.
Yeah. Yeah, what tier is that?
And no, I am not making one. Get Juicy, Rogue. Yeah. I like that. I don't see Avery tonight, but Avery is the man. That Rogue stuff hit one with me. Yes, Andy, whatever potato you're looking for, I hope that you found it and you're happy together.
Potato, huh?
Andy is an old friend that likes to just stump me, and no, I'm not telling that story either. Juicy emoji. I will try to do that. I'll come up with something. It will resemble pulled pork, I'm guessing. Okay,
yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of reasons that could go wrong.
Holly, I will try to do that, and thank you for the chat as well. So with everything, all the changes in training camp and this Frank drama,
yes.
I just want them. I feel like they're going to get the Tyrann Mathieu deal done just before camp starts, just so they can get everybody to start talking about something else. Do you worry? And I go back and forth, so I want your opinion. Do you worry about the level of distraction yet again going into camp?
I don't. I would assume, I could be wrong here, that all these guys are used to having to kind of compartmentalize. And for Clark, I think we underestimate what a locker room is like in terms of, I wouldn't say necessarily professionalism, not that they're not professionals, they are, but that's maybe the closest word I can think of in terms of they're there to do a job. And it's not like before and after practice, it's going to be this obsessive, never-ending thing about, Frank Clark's legal issues.
Yeah.
Most people, much like at your office, let me ask this way. If your coworker was getting criminal charges in another state and he was still showing up to work, he wasn't in custody or anything like that, would that affect your ability to work? Now, two very different things, obviously, different level of concentration, all that stuff. But I just think people overestimate the distraction stuff. Not saying it never happens, because it does sometimes, but it usually has to be pretty extreme cases. A lot of these players, they've had to compartmentalize since high school.
Yeah.
You're talking about people that are capable of running out in front of an engine, in front of a stadium of screaming people, 70,000 screaming people, and keeping their cool and performing with cameras all around them, whatever. You just get used to it. You have to be able to perform. So if Clark doesn't succeed this year, I don't think it'd be because of distractions. I think they're going to be fine. And Mathieu, I think that contract will get done.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. In fact, like the person I'm least concerned about being distracted is Clark. I actually feel like not only him, probably most of the D-line room, and I wonder if not most of the defense, if they're able to turn this and use it as a way to keep an edge, a way to perform better, to play more aggressively in whatever it is that they're doing.
Sure.
Because, I mean, it's Tom Brady in reverse. Come up with a reason that everybody's out to get you and go attack. You know what I mean? Like, right. I think there's something to be gained there, turning what is an embarrassing situation into a positive for not only him, but the unit that he plays for.
Right. And they're already embarrassed about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Clark had some interesting comments. I mean, Nate Taylor, my colleague at The Athletic, has talked about it in terms of kind of acknowledging that 2020 didn't really go the way he wanted to. And so I'm curious. I think if he's physically good to go, I think you're going to see a very, 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 very motivated player this year. Maybe he did lose sight for a little bit in just terms of, you won the Super Bowl. It takes a very unique individual to not coast a little. And I'm not saying he was. I'm saying if he was physically okay, then it's weird how he played last year compared to the entire rest of his career.
Yeah.
And he seems very motivated, and he knows it. What's more, and he knows it based on those comments. So we'll see kind of what happens. And I think this is a team with a lot to prove, and I think that's nice.
Hey, motivation goes a long, long way.
It does. What's the something that I've said before is don't underestimate the power of screw you energy. That there's a lot of power in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. You say it so much nicer than I do. Mine always have 4 and 12-letter words in them. That's okay. Yeah, add it up. It works. Steelers just signed Trey Turner. Thanks, Gooch. Appreciate the update. That kind of feels like where it was going. I wonder if the retirement isn't in the future, and that's a big part of it. Maybe It is. I don't know. Who else do we have? Okay, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So
there actually was one question that was forever ago. I think it was Stevie who asked. He was asking about when we were talking about the Clark thing. He was talking about the fact that it was that we've seen words about it being concealed, but also law enforcement said that it was in plain view. Those two terms obviously don't seem to be synonymous with one another. And so I feel as though that might have been the result. And I'd have to look at the direct pages with some of the charges and stuff laid out. I think that was the result of media not doing something false or anything, but just trying their best to say legal things that they don't necessarily know, which is a tough thing. We happen to work in an industry where legal stuff does become the center of attention. And so people feel the need to try to talk about it, but legal terminology is tough. It's tough to know exactly what's charged, and it's different everywhere. So I would agree. Those two things don't seem to make sense. It's like, I don't think he's being charged with carrying a concealed firearm because, for one thing, supposedly it was in plain view, and that's why they were able to see it. Mm-hmm. But concealed might mean something different under their statute. That the definitions contained in statutes are everything. So but odds are it was probably just a mistake in terms of terminology, would be my guess. So I did want to clear that up.
I appreciate that. In Minnesota, is there something as an attempt to conceal?
You can add attempted to almost any crime in a lot of ways, but I mean, really, in Minnesota, there's not really a delineation between concealed and open carry. You either have a permit to carry or you don't.
Gotcha. Okay. I just wonder. I don't know. Again, details will set us free. We'll tell you guys when we know.
Yes.
Voodoo, can Tershawn Wharton be a star in the league? I think we both feel like he can be good. I don't know if stars in it, but let's see how he does.
Yeah. He definitely has. I can already see it in the tape that I've reviewed. He definitely has unique physical traits. It's hard to find guys with his lateral agility and overall athleticism that also seem to have pretty heavy hands and the type of lower body strength and bounce that allows him to run through half a man.
Yeah, that generation of power is important.
Right, yeah, and combined with bounce. It's something that Chris Jones has that's extremely underrated about him. When he gets to half a man, he's able to just run through the contact without losing a lot of momentum and not get pushed wide. The difference between running through half a man and not getting pushed, like getting pushed 2 feet and getting pushed no feet, makes a huge difference. And Wharton seems to have some of that to his game. So he's got all these traits. It's just a matter of, can he put them together? Because there's a whole bunch of other things that go into it. You and I have talked about this in the past, that the difference in the ability of the brain to process things and react a tenth of a second faster versus a tenth of a second slower can be the difference between a very physically talented player having a great pro career and an okay pro career. Because there's only a certain level that you can max out at. Travis Kelce, perfect example, because he sees coverages so well and he processes them so quickly. Most tight ends don't have his ceiling. And it's weird because it's like, well, yeah, but a lot of these guys are a better athlete than Kelce at this point. Yep. But they don't have that capability. Being able to process something is a gift in real time. It's like Mahomes. He sees the whole field. It's a gift. And that's something that I think gets underrated in terms of players. Madden tried to, tell us about it for years with awareness, but what does that really mean? We're not sure, but mostly it's that ability to process things in real time just a hair more quickly. And I think that sinks a lot of talented players because we can say, well, he's not great with his hands. It doesn't mean he hasn't been told what to do. It doesn't mean he's not aware of what the correct counter is when, the offensive line, performs some certain technique on him. It's the ability to know it. Like if someone was ever a wrestler, right? Mm-hmm. That ability to know it, feel it happening even as it happens, immediately counter, Tom Bahali with some of his hand swiping. It was so cool. He would start his swipe as the offensive lineman was reaching towards him. And it was so cool. And so they would never make any contact. And it's so much fun to watch. That's going to be the determining factor with him, in my opinion, because the physical goods are all there to be a very good player. But there's a lot of guys with the physical goods in this league.
Yeah.
And so that it's going to be tough to say. The fact, though, that he was a useful player as a rookie, it's impressive.
Yeah. And it just bodes well. I don't know his background. I'll tell you guys this, though. Watch Creed Humphrey because he was an all-state wrestler. So that does go a long way. Mm-hmm. Junior, hello from Brazil. I'm glad you're here and welcome. I hope that you're doing well down there. I hope that you're staying safe. I know that COVID is rampant in Brazil. So take care of yourself, and I'm glad you're here.
Be safe.
Josh, thank you, my friend. How do you guys feel about the old Dallas Texans uniforms, helmets? Would you like to see Mahomes with his home state on the helmet in 22? They did open it up for, the alternating helmet. I'm fine with that. I like it as a throwback, but, it doesn't do much for me. That's where Mahomes is from. Does it do anything for you?
Because they're not in Texas now, I'm very like, yeah. Like that with that helmet. I personally, the Chiefs have one of my favorite uniforms in the league. Now I'm obviously biased. And today, to be fair, I'm once again finding myself somehow in silver and black. It's because wearing black is easier than working out, people. That's the only reason, okay? This is easier than working out. I'm still 20 pounds over where I want to be. And when I don't wear black, it's like, ugh. So that's the only reason. But the Chiefs uniforms, they're just classic. And they haven't changed them much over the years.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Whereas a lot of teams have done way too much. And most teams, I think, would actually be an improvement to just go back to what they had like in the 90s.
I like the Chiefs are consistent. The Bears are consistent. Who else? I don't even remember, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
Nathan, we talked about DeCastro earlier. If you weren't here, maybe worth a look, but it feels like he's probably going to retire. So I don't know that there'll be an opportunity there. Oh, yeah. Good point, Aaron. Mayor, if you happen to be watching and just not in the chat, I appreciate you getting back to me. And I hope that you enjoy the channel. Matt, let's see. A lot of juicy references. Okay. I'm trying to sort them out. That one I am not saying out loud. That's for sure. Have you done a film on Kelce's blocking? Not in a while. I'm guessing, Seth, you haven't looked at that in a while either.
Kelce's blocking?
Yeah, right. That was the question.
Oh yeah, I actually have. I did the myth versus reality of Kelce's blocking recently because I couldn't take it anymore. Yep.
Oh, okay.
I actually did at the Chief North newsletter. If you check the archives, I couldn't take it anymore, and so I kind of walked through what Kelce's blocking snaps look like and how he doesn't do a lot of the traditional inline tight end stuff, but how he's actually a pretty good blocker for the things they want him to do. He's a good blocker in space, gets to the angles. He doesn't try to bowl people over ever. Yeah. He gets in the way, and he almost always blocks his guy. And in that respect, I think he's a good blocker. And it's just funny, people, because they don't see a SportsCenter highlight of him bowling over a defensive end, they assume he's a subpar blocker. That's just not how it works. So I wrote an entire article about that because I couldn't take it anymore. And did someone just ask in the super chat if I'm wearing pants?
Oh, that I bet you I know who that is. Yep, somebody sure did. Hey, look at that. Proof positive. Folks, you can find that article at Minnesota Chiefs fan at substack.com. Or what's the fun one? Oh yeah, that one.
Oh yes, bit.ly/Seth really hates money. And that's to subscribe for $12 a year forever. Every year it would re-up for $12 a year. Price would never go up, etc. if I ever decide to raise the price on everyone else. And which, by the way, I've become a little more tempted lately because I feel like the people that got in on the ground floor that showed faith early, I kind of want to reward that by punishing people that come afterward.
So optimistic you are. I like it. Gooch, good point on the super chat. Thank you, sir. Hank would smile at the Texans unis. That's perfectly fine. Yep, that's who I was thinking. Old Andy making sure everybody's in proper streaming attire. That's what I call it. Didn't notice says subliminal juicy Raiders love. Okay.
Okay. You know what, Stevie? I was like this close to picking you to be our winner for the night, and now I'm just like, I don't know.
Now it's the pants guy.
Yeah. How dare you? I am a little ashamed, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Oh, this is good times, though. At the end of the day, this is good times. PETA, how are you? I think there may be a player who may shock you is Cornell Powell processing things between the ears, routes, and blocking. Yeah, I mean, he's got the stamina. I think he's smart enough. I'm just not sure about the separation. Like, and when I say this, don't take it the wrong way, everyone. I am pulling for Powell. I just feel like a lot of folks are doing the Darwin Thompson treatment to him and expect him to be starter level caliber as a rookie. Like right now, help us out because Sammy's gone. He's wearing his number. Like, I think that's a little bit of a stretch myself.
Right. And as someone who jumped on the Darwin Thompson hype train, a skosh.
Ding, ding, ding.
Early. He looked pretty good. I don't know. Every time he's gotten the ball, he can move, man. It's just hard. Obligatory. He's also really shredded. But I feel like he could do more with more touches, but the size thing is a problem. I personally think Edwards-Helaire is going to be a problem for teams this year. Like, I think people are going to see, running backs are dependent on their blocking in that you can't have crappy blocking for virtually anyone if you're not Jamal Charles, Barry Sanders, that level, right? And even they are affected by it a great deal. They just manage to rise above more often than others. Clyde did rise above really terrible blocking at times, but where you really see a separator, and even then we just know statistically, analytically, it's not as big a separator as some other positions, but where you can really see a separator with running backs is a really good running back with average blocking versus an average blocker with average blocking. Because you can see a few more things happening there. Maybe runs that are 10 yards instead of 4 yards. And you get 2 or 3 of those a game, that sort of thing. I think you're going to be seeing some of that.
Yeah, I hope so. I think he just needed a year to get his feet under him, and now he can really exploit what's there. I thought he did a good job, but I'm looking forward to a step forward. Patrick enjoyed your piece with Carrington. Oh, I didn't know you were on with Carrington.
I went on briefly just to kind of talk about the Clark situation. I was going to give Carrington a hard time, and I forgot to once I was on. I feel like he and I only chat when things are like disastrous.
Oh, really?
And then he and I end up on his show. It's like, my God, we've got to do a show sometime about puppies or something. But yeah, I tried really hard. But while still making clear the limits of what I know, because it's a different jurisdiction, different state. State by state, things are pretty different in criminal world. So that's just keeping in mind. But I do have a little experience to lend to the situation, so I'm happy to help.
That's cool. Yeah, well, we'll try to do something on the three of us. Carrington and I went back and forth for a while, and we haven't talked in a bit. We'll get that back going, you guys.
Carrington's a good dude.
He is. He does a great job of getting not just like the daily talk, like what talk radio is, but actually jumping into things that actually matter, and I enjoy that about him.
He does. It's important to him, and you can tell.
Yeah. Robert, you can't find that juicy level membership. Yes, it is. It's ghosted. It's only for Gooch. He's the only one that has access because I'll never hear the end of it if I do anything else. John, you're in Hawaii. Mahalo. I'm very happy that you're out there, and thank you for joining us tonight. It turns out the Tyreek is here now. Okay, good for him. Relax a little bit. He started playing pickup volleyball with some people on the beach.
Were you, John? will you say something to Tyreek? Because he doesn't strike me as a dude that's going to be unable. Like, if I could jump like him, I wouldn't be able to help myself either. Just be able to just, and that sand can be treacherous.
Especially if you come down on somebody else's foot. You know, it looks like that basketball rolled ankle every time. He's a competitive dude, though. Like, he was playing pickup basketball in Florida. I was like, you're going to get the Mahomes treatment if you're not careful, man.
You're going to get that Brett Veach call. Look, man.
Listen.
I really need you to stop.
That clause at the back of your contract is freaking real.
I really do. I really am curious what that conversation was like between Veach and Mahomes, because Mahomes, let's be real, is other than Andy Reid, because Andy Reid runs that building. Although I think other than Clark Hunt, Patrick Mahomes is the dude in that building. Other than, again, maybe Andy Reid, because I mean Clark Hunt reveres Andy Reid, and he should. And Reid runs everything in that building. Like, make no mistake. Reid is the boss. He is. He trusts Brett Veach. He lets Brett Veach do his thing. But he's the guy who's ultimately in charge. Ask John Dorsey. He'll tell you. But it's just the truth. All that's a long road to a short thought. I am curious what that phone call from Brett Veach was like, because you got to be careful there, because you're telling a 25-year-old he can't go play ball. That's going to be like, look, man, if you break your ankle, there's a lot of people. I wonder if they would, like, there's a lot of people with money on the line here, you know, people that you play with who you know, it's not just you. I bet it was a very humble phone call, but it was also like, please don't do that. Please.
It worked.
It worked.
Take it from him. It worked. And I'm glad to see that. I hope that Mahomes isn't like on a horse on a beach somewhere like he was a couple of seasons ago. Like, let's not be taking risks of getting bucked from animals and stuff. So just take it easy. Junior, welcome. I hope that you enjoy moving to America. Congrats.
Yeah.
You're not going to learn from English about me, dude. That's why I don't type anymore.
I can help you, Junior.
Yes, he knows words.
Don't listen to this guy. I know many words. I know the best words. I'm good.
All of them. Yeah, Longmorn, thank you very much. Taking a step farther, semi-confetti for my wife. We do have to pick somebody here, and John has said aloha to you, and he's in Waikiki. Okay. Yeah, my buddy lives not very far from there, on the Kailua side, but
okay.
I
have picked a winner.
Oh, okay.
And this was relatively random. But I already kind of said it, and I'm not going to renege on it now just because he busted my chops. I really appreciated Stevie's follow-up question on the Clark thing. I thought it was a very thoughtful question. And so I arbitrarily picked him. And so, Stevie, if you could do me a favor, and Ryan, if you're okay being an intermediary here, because you're the big kahuna, let's all bow down. And Stevie, if you could get your information to Ryan in terms of a mailing address, I promise I won't share it with anyone. I'm a lawyer. You can trust me. I will get that mailed out to you along with a little. It's kind of cool. It's a letter with the Chief of the North letterhead on it. It's a whole fun deal. So get that to Ryan. He'll get that to me. I'll get that sent out in the mail within the next week. And everyone who's not Stevie, this is probably not the last time I'm going to do it. Because like I said, Danny Welniak was kind enough to give me quite a bit of it. And I know how much it meant to me when Nate Taylor got me some Super Bowl confetti. And I want as many people to have it as possible. And so I'm just going to kind of keep spreading the joy as best as possible.
Nice.
And the more of that confetti goes out in the world, the more we can just forget about that other stupid Super Bowl that we don't need to talk about.
Right. That we'll never, ever mention again.
Yeah. But think about how much being a Chiefs fan has changed over the last decade. Because now we're like, oh, that Super Bowl that they played in for the second year in a row sure sucked.
Yeah, right.
It's
not even my favorite Super Bowl, bro.
Yeah, it's not even my favorite Super Bowl. You know, it's like, oh, that year that they went to the AFC Championship for the third year in a row that they hosted it. I hope they get to there in the fourth year because I think they could. Yeah. And I just want to see them put some record just completely out of reach. That would be fun.
I would like that too. And Peta, no worries. I hope that you're right. I hope that I am underestimating him. Again, I haven't seen a practice yet. I put a lot of faith in what I see when I go to camp because I get a good feeling from that. So You're absolutely right. People were complaining about Jerry Rice, and Gooch will tell you about how wrong they were. I guarantee you that.
Absolutely. I would just note that they were concerned about N'Keal Harry's separation in 40 time too. So for every example, you can find a counterexample. And generally speaking, with guys who struggle with certain things, it's dangerous to look at the exception and hope that that becomes the rule. Just throwing that out there. Just throw a little more cold water.
Come on, give Herb some respect. He's having a tough time right now. You play to win the games. Dang it. Stevie, thank you for mentioning that one. If you all like beer or brewing, please check out my other channel too. It's RGR Craft. Me and my other podcast partner, who's one of the guys who knows a lot more about brewing than me, we have a good time doing that stuff as well. At the end of the day, it's just cooking. It's a nice way to put it. We're going to wrap it up here now that we've done that, and there's a couple extra questions. We'll get there. Do you guys feel like a 20-0 team currently, or do we have a few more pieces? I don't think there's a 20-0 team in this league.
I think the Chiefs are the team with the best chance to pull it off, because they're the team with the best chance to average 40 week in and week out. Should have traded for Julio, but whatever. Still bitter about that. I am just because I wanted just the chaos, just they can't keep getting away with us. That would have been so funny. But here's the thing to keep in mind. We talked about this before. I think the Chiefs have the talent. It's incredibly hard to win every week in the NFL. What happens, a great example to think about is last year the Chiefs very narrowly beat the Atlanta Falcons, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of freaked people out heading into the playoffs. What they talked about afterwards and what I saw on film is Bob Sutton called a heck of a game. They threw some stuff at Mahomes he hadn't seen before. They threw some wild stuff out there. Some of their blitzes, I was like, what the crap are they doing? I've never seen that. And it was stuff they hadn't done all year. And they did a bunch of weird stuff. And they threw the kitchen sink. And that's one reason it's so hard to win every week in the NFL. Because sometimes you run into a really great game plan that you weren't ready for, or something like that. And even if the Chiefs go into week 18, 17, or 16-0, Andy Reid's not going to play his starters. He's not going to do it. And so that's going to make it that much tougher because whatever team they're playing, even if they have nothing to play for, I don't remember who they play in the final week.
I don't know off the top of my head either.
Even if they have nothing to play for, they're not going to want to be the team that someone went 17-0 against.
Yeah, don't be the last one that gave it up. Oh, it's the Broncos. Never mind, it's fine.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, no, then they got a shot. They got a shot. Unless they trade for Rodgers or something. They got a legit shot.
Don't even start. Stevie, I'm glad that your tears are juicy. The tears of joy, that is. Very good.
Seems illegal.
Gooch says never use N'Keal and Jerry in the same sentence. Ever.
I think Jerry is much better than N'Keal. There, how's that one? Yeah.
I didn't know Danny was from Wichita. Cole used to watch her down there.
Oh, yeah.
Huh, I had no idea. Dre asked, do you think that Noah Gray went to Kelce's tight end retreat? I didn't know that it had happened yet. Did I miss it?
Yeah, they had this startup today. A video that's making the rounds is like Greg Olsen and George Kittle are like starting the talk, and Kelce's in the background going, yeah, just like everything. And it's so funny because Greg Olsen's like, hey guys, thanks all for coming here. And Kelce, yeah, it's just so funny.
It seems so like him.
So I think they kicked it off. Hopefully he did. I mean, I don't know if it was an invite-only type thing or something, but if it's not, I mean, Gray should be following Kelce around pretty much everywhere he goes, absent the bathroom, because that's not legal.
That's my expectation as well. I'm sorry, Gooch. It's going to be okay.
Now we're out here hurting souls.
Yeah, right. And we're going to stop doing that because kids need to eat and Seth needs to get places like home. So we're going to wrap it up. You guys check out the Chief of the North newsletter at minnesotachiefsfan.substack.com. I'll actually say the real one. Thanks for the time, and thanks for giving away the confetti tonight, folks. Thanks. It's very nice of you, Seth.
Oh, of course. Stevie, get that information to Ryan.
Yep, will do. Folks, you all have a good one. Danilo will have something for you tomorrow. We'll be back Sunday night with the breakdown as always. And the breakdown will be the Sunday night postgame show once the season rolls around too. So just get used to it. Y'all have a good one. We'll talk to you next time.